I have a little night vision. I thought it was going to be awesome. It freaking sucks. Like, I'm not a night vision guy. Like, if I can see where I'm walking, I can't see further out. I'm always messing with it. The weight, it's expensive. You just don't see, like, I long for the day when they make night vision like a pair of glasses. I can put it on and it looks like day to me.
Let's kick it off, boys. It's been a long time coming. We talked last year at goals and this year at goals. We finally hammered it down. We have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mike Pappas of Dead Air. How are we doing today, Mike?
Wonderful, sir. I can't thank you guys enough for having me on.
Yeah, I mean, it started 2 years ago with you complimenting Matt's purse, and
Yeah.
and after his purse, I caught you this year, and you were like, "You know what? We're not ducking you here. How do you feel about being docked?" And I was like, "All right, that's fine." And you docked me, and the rest is history.
Here we are. And
And now we got Mike's number.
that was a damn nice purse too.
I appreciate that. I still have it. It's actually in the trunk. I used it yesterday for my emergency bachelor party kit. So it had like a collapsible bucket so that nobody threw up in the car. Like it was my emergency kit. So it's here though.
I like that.
Hell yeah. So man, how have things been? How have you been doing? What have you been occupied with lately?
Work wise or personal wise?
Personal. We don't care about work yet.
Fair. I just do a lot of old man stuff. I kind of maybe 10 or so years ago decided to start being a little more old man-esque, kind of practicing for, my upcoming retirement, as it were, at some point in the near future, right?
You hope so.
I do a lot of stuff around the house. I like to stay home a lot. I do a lot of car repair. I do a lot of nut and bolt organizing. I don't know. It's
You've been tying flies.
I shoot a little bit, I do some hand loading, the regular stuff, but all kind of low impact. I've got my sprinkler going right now, and I mowed yesterday,
The good life.
I mowed today. I know the feeling. Yeah.
Nice. No, I love it. If I never had to leave the house again, I'd be happy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, Matt, let's go ahead and let's get into our AI segment. This week, we want to ask AI who Dead Air Suppressors is. And this week, it is brought to you by our friends over at Wheeler Tools. When precision matters, trust the tool that delivers. The Wheeler Pro Series 100-piece fat wrench kit brings unmatched control to your bench. With torque you can trust and 100 purpose-built bits, it's the all-in-one answer for gunsmiths, builders, and perfectionists. Whether you're mounting optics or dialing in fine details, this kit hits every mark. Clean, confident, repeatable. No guesswork, no strip screws. Just pro-level performance in your hands. Upgrade your bench with Wheeler Tools. It says, founded in 2014 by veterans Mike Pappas and Todd McGee, Dead Air Silencers quickly earned a reputation as one of the most innovative suppressor manufacturers in the United States. Built on the founder's prior experience, the company set out to create products that solved real problems for shooters. Chief among them was expense and hassle of owning multiple silencers under restrictive U.S. regulations. Their early focus on multi-caliber designs gave customers more flexibility and value with each purchase, helping Dead Air stand out in a crowded market.
Well, isn't that AI just nice as pie?
Yeah, and it didn't tell all your bad stuff. I love that.
No, it didn't tell any of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the good thing about AI. I mean, it just searches the web and just reads the facts and goes with it. So, does that sound pretty accurate to you? Is there anything you'd like to add, or do they hit it?
No, I think that's pretty accurate. If I was going to be super technical with you, I would tell you that Eric Rogers approached me and we talked a little bit, and we talked about starting a silencer company. And at the time, like, look, I try to always be a better person and improve, but I'm still only human. And I was still kind of a little angry over the whole silencer co thing. So I kind of wanted to, you know, start another silencer company and compete with them. I
Hey,
think there's a lot to being, and I think I've been at a lot of times in my life underestimated, and the silencer co guys, I'm sure that they never thought that we could start another silencer company and compete. So I was kind of driven for that. And there were also several things that I wanted to do that we didn't do at Silencer Co. So I kind of was a little bit driven to do that. And then Todd also was at Silencer Co. with me, and Todd left there and went into the medical device engineering on that, heart catheters and, I mean, all life saving, but not super exciting, right?
yeah,
So I called Todd and was like, Todd, we're going to do it again. Like, sorry, I know you have a great cushy job with all sweet retirement and benefits and everything, but let's do this again. So that's kind of how we started. We found a manufacturer in BPI and some money to back us in DeWitt, excuse me, Vin and Todd. And they believed in us and we started.
hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, I appreciate you sharing that and adding to the AI. So I hope they're listening now.
I've heard that a similar story sometimes from founders. However, however the first business goes, they end up in a second business. It's similar or maybe even direct competition. And a lot of the times it's like, oh, what you accomplished in 5 years there at the first business, you've already learned. And so it can make that second jump a lot faster tracking, especially in the beginning. So I think you guys are obviously doing a good job. I mean, you're more than competition for the other guys.
You're still in
So
business. Yeah.
must be doing something right.
Well,
Cheers.
I think you're right. You learn as you go, and you're always trying to do self-improvement, right? I mean, I try it with everything, patience and kindness and giving and all that. Like, I'm sure everybody does, but the older you get, the better you get at it, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well,
Well,
Matt,
Mike,
I was going to say, go ahead.
I think it's time for that rapid fire segment.
We,
So dead air, Mike. We're gonna do a rapid fire segment. I'm gonna ask a bunch of questions, like kind of quick succession, with a quick 1 or 2 word answer, and see how quick we can get through them. Just to keep you thinking on your feet. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So this week's rapid fire segment is brought to us by our friends over at EOTech.
When you demand absolutely the highest quality performing optics and accept no compromise, EOTech has everything you need, whether that be holographic weapon sights, LPVOs, or long range optics for that ultimate clarity at distance. Accept no substitutes. EOTech's got you covered.
AR or AK?
AK,
Suppressed pistol or suppressed rifle?
rifle.
Would you rather develop the most durable or the most quiet suppressor?
That's a toughie. Both, maybe. If I had to pick one, I would probably go with durability. I think would best suit what I do.
Perfect. Sandman or Nomad?
Sandman.
If you could travel back in time to chat with one gun guy, who would it be?
Wow, that's a good question. I never really thought of that. Um, Sorry, I may not be rapid firing too much.
you're
Well,
fine.
I guess I guess if it would be just one, I would probably say Stoner.
Good one.
Solid choice. What do you think is more important, DB or tone?
Tone.
Hypothetically, name a historic gun you would love to design a suppressor just for fun.
Wow, that's a good question. I would say if I had to answer that, it would be SVD.
Yes, I'm behind that 100%. Mike, SHOT Show, is it a necessary evil or just an industry highlight?
It's a necessary evil.
Is there a product you were a part of that never made it to market, but you wish that it had?
Not that I can think of.
If you can make one product in the industry that you currently don't offer, what would it be?
50 can.
It was.
Beautiful. Great answers on those. That was rapid fire. It was pretty quick. You were pretty quick on those.
Well, I wouldn't call myself pretty quick. I'm kind of a borderline retarded speaker when it comes to quickness. Sorry.
Well, we're preparing for retirement. That's what we tell everyone. You know, so
Fair.
it's all good. So let's go ahead and get into what brings you here today, like what got you to today. So for everyone that knows you and those that are tuning in to just to hear you talk again, we appreciate you listening. But for those that don't know you, how did you first get started in the firearms industry?
That's actually a super easy question. And I want to preface my answer with the fact that I do not recommend this. Okay, this is, I think, very important. You don't want to wake up one day and find yourself as a starving artist, actor, musician. But as I look back throughout my life, I've always found something that I was passionate about and then found a way to make a living in that, which is not smart, nor is it good future proofing. So I would tell you that I've always been a mechanic and a gun guy. Those two things, since my earliest memories, those are the two things that I was super interested in, always have been, and always will be interested in. So that's how I became a mechanic, and that's how I got to this podcast.
Yeah, man, that's really cool though, because you can look at it, and take your advice, but you can also take the advice of what I always hear a lot of older guys tell the younger guys, and it's if you do what you love, it's like you never work a day in your life. Now, granted, you got to pay the bills, but that just brings you into the passion. If you're passionate about something, if you chase it, there's a good chance that the rest of it will come.
I and I've heard that, and I get that, but I don't really subscribe to that because work is work. But what I do think it does is if you're really passionate about something, I think you're better at it. I think you try harder. Like, I'll give you an example of that. I put an engine in a car for Tassin. You know Tassin that works with
Mm-mm.
us? Anyway, great guy. I love that guy. I put a engine, it's got an old Honda, and I put a motor in it, and I did not break even one little plastic clip, even though it was all like, hardened and brittled by heat and age. And I did it perfect. And when I backed that car out, my goal was if you took a career Honda tech and had him look it over all you want, you will not be able to tell that an engine had ever been put in that car unless you run the VIN number on the motor against the VIN number under the windshield. And I
Right
think
on.
that sums it up a little bit better in that if you ho-hummed and just fell into something, and I mean, not that there's anything wrong with this, and I really appreciate everyone that does everything that I don't do. Like, I want to have the shelves stocked at the Home Depot, but is a guy really passionate about hardware? that goes to the Home Depot. Like if you were like, you just do the Home Depot better. I think that's kind of the takeaway that I would like to give, because you can kind of go through a lot of ups and downs, even though you're passionate about something, but man, it's still a ton of work.
Amen. Amen to that. So give us just a little backstory in the timeline of how you go from wee little boy to now you're a part of firearms and suppressor industry. Like, where did you start? How did that turn into Dead Air?
Okay, that's do you care if I take like 2 or 3 minutes to answer it? Is that
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'm
yeah. We
think?
we we got we got time. We got
Take
Okay,
time.
take
okay.
20. Yeah.
I was working as a mechanic, and I was driving home one night, and an ad came on the radio, and there was a gun store that I'd never heard of. And I wasn't in a big rush, and I didn't really have anything going on. So I turned my car around and drove over to this gun store, and it was Get Some Guns in Salt Lake. And I kind of
Okay.
started talking to those guys, and then I got a little friendly with them, and I was in there, and they were trying to, forgive me, put a barrel on an AR-15 or something of that nature, and they were struggling with it a little bit. And granted, this is before the ban lifted, so it was just the older ARs, and they were all like neutered, and it wasn't America's rifle then. But I had a tranny M16, right? So I had worked a lot of AR-15 up one side and down the other. And I said, hey, you want me to help you with that? As a customer, and they were like, you could do that. And I was like, I can. So I went into the trunk of my car, and I had a range bag in there with some AR tools. And I walked in there and did whatever they needed. And then I used to stop by there on Friday nights, and they'd have 2 or 4 or 5 or whatever rifles they wanted the float tube switched on or what have you. And I would go in there and do that. And I just did a little ammo trade with them. And then the owner of the store, Stuart Wallen, great freaking guy, said I should work in there every other Saturday. And mind you, the store was about the size of a standard 2-car garage, to kind of give you an idea of the size of it. If 4 people were in the store and a 5th person came in, 1 or 2 of the people would leave. And I watched this many times, and you couldn't have 6 people in the store because no one could move. But it was a cool little store, and it was a little bit more military, right, in inventory than sporting. So it was kind of up my alley. And I did that for a year or 2, and I really enjoyed working in there every other Saturday. I just did it because I like doing it. And Stuart then kind of asked me a few times, and we talked about it, quitting my mechanic job and going to work to manage the gun store. And then one day I just decided that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to quit mechanicking. I had the old toolbox towed home on a tow truck, and I worked to Get Some. I cut this deal with Stuart to get 20% of the profit of the store, although he paid me less than I made as a mechanic. But the highest number to that point that the store had ever done in total sales for 1 month was $40,000. And after I'd been there for 3 months, we did 150 every month.
Let's
So,
go,
man,
dude.
Hell
what a
yeah.
freaking time. I was hauling, I took the bulk of that in trade. I hauled some of the coolest
Dang.
things out of that freaking store. It was like a never-ending grab bag. It felt like one of those cash machines where you go in there and you're just grabbing all the money out of the air. God, I got some cool guns and stuff out of there.
What?
And
So just, I was going to say, sorry to cut you off, but
no,
don't want to reveal your age, but around what date are we in here? Like what year are we in?
we're probably in, let me think, that'd be probably 13 or no,
Okay.
11, 12,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
somewhere in there. I don't know. I've got some overlap in my life, but right in there now, my oldest daughter's 25, and I'd worked there as the manager for quite some time, and she went into the restroom in there and came out with her first tooth, and I was like, yeah, Paige lost her first tooth in the shitter it gets some. So
I
she was
love.
probably 5 or 6, I guess, by that time. So
Okay.
somewhere in there, because I think we started Silencer Co. in, let me think, 11, 10, 9, 8, in 8. So this must
Okay.
have been 6 or so. I don't know. Right in somewhere in that range. But I should do a graph like you were here and here at the same time, like a time frame, because it's
Oh,
hard
good.
because I
Draw out a timeline for everybody.
yeah. See, because I did my mechanic job for a couple of years while I worked to get some every other Saturday,
Okay.
and so it's the overlap's kind of tough for me. But
Yeah.
sorry.
No, I was just looking up 2008 with Silencer Co. So yeah, you were probably right in before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got so sidetracked in that question there. I met Schultz in that little store, in that when I was managing Get Some. And he said to me, I want to start a silencer company, because he saw a great void in the market. Like he saw opportunity. And that's, to my point, I think that's the passion. Schultz knew he couldn't do the guns part. He just wanted to do the business part and make a business. And I wanted to do the passion part. We started slinging. We got our SOT and we did a bunch of SBRs and machine guns and cans and all that in the store. So it was pretty good. Then once we started Silencer Co, I still worked at Stewart had bought a bigger location and moved the store up onto State Street, onto a busier street and indoor shooting range and all that. So I was in there for a couple of years. And while we were starting Silencer Co, I hadn't moved all the way over there at that point yet. We were just a tiny little operation. And that's where the very first product that we made there was the Sparrow. And Schultz said, we're going to make a 22 cannon. It's going to be monocore. And that really freaked me out, because I just imagined a bunch of stuck monocores, and I kind of flipped out for a few days. And I came up with the clamshell idea, the half pipe idea, where you put those and slide it into the tube. So no matter how dirty it got, you get out of the tube and then pull those straight off, right? And we dominated the market with the Sparrow for that reason. That was the first patent I ever got. Kind of a milestone thing. And then, did I say this in retrospect? And I became kind of a naysayer at Silencer Co. in the fact that everything they wanted to do, I didn't want to do. And the reason was because what they wanted to do was stupid. So, yeah, I got proven right on the bulk of the things that I didn't want to do there. But anyway, they freaking booted me out of there, and I went home, and it was Halloween of 13. And I told my wife, we were trick-or-treating my daughters. And I told my wife I got fired today. And she's like, you can't get fired. You're an owner. And I was like, I thought that too, but I really don't think I'm welcome back. And then I managed a gun store for about a year, and then Eric called. And like I said, that's kind of how it happened for me. I guess just a little bit of stick-to-itiveness and willing to take a risk. And I've been through some, and like, it's not easy. I'd like to say Stewart offered to buy me a car, give me a gas card, and then just take it to get it worked on, right? Maintenance, like a whole car, insurance, the whole thing. Because I'm 50 miles from Salt Lake. So I would be 100 miles a day driving, and give me a raise. And I told my wife that, or I could start Silencer Co. and work there for nothing. And so she was like bitter with me for about a year. It was about a year, year and a half until I actually got a paycheck out of Silencer Co. So that
Yeah.
was kind of tough. She was watching our savings dwindle and what's
Oh,
wrong with you and you're not making any money, and a lot of tough times, in there that you don't realize. And it's easy not to worry about them now. Oh, you're successful now. So, and you have no problems. And, I get a paycheck every month. And so it's no big deal, but it was tough getting there.
when precision matters, every detail counts. The Frankfurt Arsenal IntelliDropper 2.0 takes accuracy to the next level with advanced sensors, a sleek touchscreen, and effortless calibration. Whether you're fine-tuning or loading in volume, the IntelliDropper 2.0 ensures confidence in every drop. Frankfurt Arsenal, precision starts here. Starting out to get some, and then going into, Silencer Co. You've got a just as long a history as just about anybody in the industry when it comes to suppressors. What lessons did you learn early in your career that shaped how, and I say this jokingly, Silencer Co.'s ideas are stupid. What lessons did you learn to shape how you wanted to build Dead Air?
Well, Silencer Co. was built on the premise of vertical integration. So for example, we had to get things heat treated. And so we bought a heat treat oven and then we heat treated things. We set up an anodizing line and we set up a black ox line. We could park and we mostly black ox there, but we set up all these things, and all of the stuff that we needed, we tried to be as like to be able to do everything ourselves and not be reliant on sending things out and waiting for them to get back for, different processes, so we set up everything there, and it was freaking horrible. You've got a bunch of, imagine, I like to tell people like this: you've got a mechanic and an accountant, these two people, and the accountant doesn't fix his own car, and if the mechanic does his own books, he's probably not going to stay in business. I mean, doing books for a business is tough,
Yeah.
so I one great thing I learned there is, you want to be like more successful or modern, or as it sits in the world of manufacturing today. Like, I'll just use this as an example. Toyota doesn't make the glass or, you know, tires or wires or computers or, there's a lot of, it's a symphony of things that you outsource that you bring in. They're not going to make a alternator, a starter motor, a water pump, or transfer case or transmission. You it's this symphony of bringing it all in, getting it into a product ready to go out and send to a Toyota dealer. I think that's a much better way than, I mean, do you want to buy a glass plant to make windows because you don't want to wait for windows? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of people and the misconception comes out, because people don't understand intellectual property. And when you ask the naysayers who want to, when you ask about Dead Air and people say, oh, everybody has their opinions of everything. Some love the company, not just Dead Air, just companies in this industry, and some hate them. And more often than not, I hear people say, oh, Dead Air, yeah, they're just a marketing company. And it's like, well, no, if you understand the fact that the intellectual property and the designs that you guys are doing, it doesn't matter if you're making them or someone else is making them. If they're your designs and built to your spec, or those parts, it's still yours. Is that where you
Well,
think it comes from?
I'd say this, and to that person, I would say, and I've never been against stopping anyone's dreams. Anyone that's ever worked with us and left, I've tried to help them. Like, I don't want to keep anyone down. hey, if this
Right.
isn't working out for you, like I'll help you do something else. Like I totally get it. I'm not going to blackball you, as it were. And I would say this, just the childishness of it. Like, let me just tell you this. If you utilize 20 3D printing machines, because we make several products that are printed now, right? They're
Right.
$1 million a piece. Do you want to put the capital out to make the payments on a $20 million investment plus another 20 million to house them and staff them and pay all those people to, you could just get 5 or 6 different people to print for you and have a never-ending supply of printed cores that you can machine and serialize and sell. So like there's no wrong way to do it, and I say do it however you want, but we have 5 engineers on staff. They're all super good. You know, we do have marketing and we do have CS and we have a bunch of QA, and we run our business is set up kind of like, yes, we outsource everything for sure. And I would never change that. Never. I don't want to run a bunch of machines. It's like, and no, I'm not, I don't mean this to be negative, but my last experience was we just were ill equipped to run all those machines. That's a completely different business. It's back to the mechanic accountant thing. Like, hey, that's not your gift. You should probably not do that. So I don't want to change the way that we do it. And if you want to start a company and buy 20 printers, like have at it. If you have some capacity, call me. We'll talk.
I got some work for you to do.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mike,
So,
what?
oh, sorry, I sidetracked there a little bit. So basically, we have 4 guys in QA, and we have all of these things brought in by different vendors, and they all get QA passed, checked, and then they go into our warehouse for forming and distribution. I think that I love the model that we have.
Yeah, seems simple.
I think it's unique, and that's kind of what scares people. And I think people also have like a misconception of how things are made. Like you
Mm.
were just mentioning with the Toyota. Toyota doesn't build starters or alternators, or what they do is design a vehicle, bring all the things together, and put out a product. And some of the things they do definitely make in-house, but it's not the large majority of all the components that are in a vehicle like that.
So
And
I'll give I'll give you an example. You want to steer clear from this certain casting number on Cummins diesels that are cast in Brazil because they can get a big long crack down the side of the motor and leak coolant out the side of the motor. Like Cummins is
exactly.
not, maybe it's made in the US. I'm not saying it's not, but hey, you're getting castings from Brazil, like the heart of the motor, the main starting component that every other thing is bolted onto, isn't even from this country. You know, so I think if
Right.
people understood manufacturing more, they would understand that when a person says we make all this stuff, well, they have a whole list of vendors that they get things from. You're not gonna do casting or stamping. You
Right.
just can't do it.
Your workspace matters, and the Tipton Best Gun Vise 360 doesn't play around. Built for serious shooters, this vise locks down rifles, shotguns, and ARs with zero movement and full control. Tool-free adjustments, rock-solid clamping, and a 360-degree rotating cradle give you access from every angle. No shortcuts, no compromises. Whether you're building, cleaning, or dialing in, this vise was made to keep up. Tipton Best Gun Vise 360. Built to hold, built to work.
So Mike, what when Dead Air came to be, what was the vision? What hole were you trying to fill? And has that vision changed since day one?
No, I don't think it has, and I don't know that it's exactly like that. Like we had product that we wanted to make, and we wanted to sell that product. And I don't know that we had a plan like that. Like, I mean, for example, you've got these passionate people that want to make these products, and then you hope that other people want them. Is kind of more the basis that it runs, rather than like what you laid out would be something that, and I'll just throw this out there, a laundry detergent company would look at and say there's a void in the market for like fresh smelling or softening of clothes, or buying it in bigger bulk. So those little Tide Pods the kids used to eat, something like that. Like, that's a business, right? Made to make money. This is not that. Sorry. This is a small business of people that want to make things that they want and hope that other people want them.
I think
More-
it's really, I was going to say, I think it's really similar to a lot of the firearms business. And the more the consumer spends time with the industry and, you know, looking at it and researching it, you start realizing, even down to firearms, you know, certain people make certain products white labeled for other people. And if you're good at making barrels, stick to making barrels. I mean, if you want to branch out, yeah, definitely do so at your right. But the people that are good at making barrels make the barrels. The people that are good at making the forgings make the forgings. People that are good with machines and, you know, cut all the complex parts and all that, that's what they do. So it's really, this industry, for the most part, it's a rarity to find someone that makes 100% every single piece in-house, exclusively. So it's kind of just the people that, I guess, the people that want to find a reason to, you know, say that you guys like, oh, well, but have that but in there. That's their go-to. And it's like really simple. It's like, well, so does everybody else.
well, there's nothing wrong with that. And I say to those people, like, dude, be you. Like, there's no hard feelings or anything. Like, I think you should be able to do business with the companies that do business like you think business should be done.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. So, dead air has become synonymous with rugged, reliable suppressors. Um, what do you think sets your product apart, from some of the other offerings in the competition?
Well, a lot of things. I think we focus more of our time and effort and product towards 30 caliber rifle cans than anything else. I mean, of course we do pistol and we do rimfire. I mean, I think we dominated the market pretty hard with the Mess. That's a great
Yeah.
rimfire can. Like, I love a suppressed rimfire. That's a go-to staple, you know? So you got some of that, but we've just always tried to again, build product like we wanted. And I'm not as much of a like soft product guy. Not that you can't make a very tough can out of titanium, but you know, it's not kind of a thing that we go after a ton. I mean, we do, our new Nomad printed cans are freaking awesome. Our 33 cal can, a Nomax, but they're bolt gun cans. Right? We're more of a regular military style firearm. Assault weapon, I guess the politicians would call it.
Yeah. As the kids say.
As the kids say nowadays. Well, before we get too deep into product lineup, let's take a quick break, top off a drink, and hear from our sponsors.
That's a sound done right. Scope rings, mounts, handguards, locked in with exact torque. Wheeler Fat Sticks don't guess, they deliver. Every click means you're dialed, not overdone. No strip threads, no compromise, just precision. Wheeler Fat Sticks. Hear the click, trust the build.
So, Mike, what is the design or engineering philosophy guidelines for Dead Air's product development? How do you guys decide on that?
Well, we decide what we want to do. For example, we're going to make this can for this reason, and then we do a lot of hashing out of it. And then we start to make product, and we have a fair idea of what to make, right?
Yeah.
We're not so much wandering around in the dark, but you're going to apply these things that work to it, or try these certain other things that you want to try to see what it does. And then you take all of those cans and then we just test them down. I think of it as kind of like a beauty contest, and then you just keep cutting. So, we do swimsuits and yada, yada, yada. It has to pass primarily a precision test, an endurance test, a flash test, and sound test. And we just keep narrowing down until we pick a winner. And if we don't get a winner, then we start over with the best one that we had, and then we do it again on the same scale and make more until we get what we want.
So what role does customer feedback play in refining or developing new products?
Well, I think it has a great role in it. You listen to what people are asking for, and hopefully that lines up with what you want to do. And we've never really had that problem yet. But also keep in mind we're only 10 or so years old, so we still have some product kind of runway out there. And as time goes on and we get better at it, we're going to go back and do some refresh. Kind of like you say with your buddy, your bachelor party in the Corvette. You have a C1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna want to keep changing that a little bit. And for us, that would be Sandman to Sandman X. There's all these things that we can do now to make the Sandman better. One piece of metal and quieter with less blowback and more mounting options. And so there's always that to go. So we haven't had to, we're still kind of filling our line, and we have some backfill to do, and we have some updating to do. So we haven't had to reach out to people and see what they want. You see trends. We watch for trends and see what people are doing.
Yeah.
I think a trend now, I think the newest trend I would tell you to look at would be when I came up with this, and I don't want this to be offensive to anyone. It's not meant to be offensive, but I call the FRTs trailer park trigger packs.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very affordable. Anyone can get one. And now everybody has an extremely fast firing semi-auto. So you're going to have to do some development with an eye towards people are going to be putting them on more of a machine gun-esque kind of a platform.
Yeah.
And we have heard that from a couple of other guests. Almost anybody related to a suppressor in the last few months has just been like, FRTs are definitely a thing in the market now. And even in their, some folks in their own testing realize like, hey, what we currently are offering we're going to have some warranty work, boys, if we don't change some stuff.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it's really interesting because 5 years ago, hell, even 2 years ago, people would come out and be like, oh, our suppressor is full auto rated. And to the average person, they were like, Okay, big deal. But what was funnier was the fact that the average guys were asking, "Oh, is your can full auto rated?" And it was like, well,
Right.
you have full auto? No. Well, then why are you asking the question?
Hey, I might have a transferable sometime in my life. Okay, give me a break.
But
Yeah,
now,
great.
but now that rings true. Like you have
Yeah.
to prepare for that.
I think that, do you know Micah that used to be with Grand Thumb?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just posted, I think maybe yesterday or the day before, it's Lima 6 belt fed upper. And
Uh-huh.
he had a Lazarus 6 on that and gave it the business. And that can's had the tar shot out of it there. And it took all those belts like a champ.
Right
Yeah.
on.
So we have, I mean, we didn't intend it to be on a belt fed machine gun, but we did auto rated. And maybe you didn't intend it to be used like that, but that's supposedly like a $4,000 upper that people can get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a thing. Maybe we should see. And like to your earlier question, that makes me want to make a belt fed can for 5.56. Before there was no market for it. Now there's a huge market for it and your customer wants it. And I have a Fight Light upper and it runs like a freaking Swiss watch. I'd like to have
Yeah.
a giant belt fed can for it. I'd like to give that the
Heck
business.
yeah, we would.
I'd
Like
like you
a
to make
trailer park. Yeah.
I'd like
Double
I'd
wide.
one.
It'd be a good one to watch for sure.
Yeah,
Speaking
great.
of we're kind of on the subject of things being done with cans that maybe they weren't designed for or that you never thought of. In all your experience of with suppressors and in the suppressor industry, what is the funniest or craziest story you've ever heard about one of your products?
Well, and we've had this on several occasions, shooting 9mm through a mask. It's
Ooh.
half by 28 threaded like your Glock, 9mm, like a
Oh,
Glock 17 or 19 or whatever. So that happens once in a while. And we had a guy shoot 9mm through a Nomad TI, and
ooh,
it just barely fit through there, and it didn't really hurt the can. You
Huh.
have a little bit of play in there, right? So that's 30 to 35 cal. I mean, you see that kind of thing from time to time, and sometimes you're like, wow, that like took that a lot better than I thought. Other times you're
yeah,
like, kind of what I thought would happen. I think there's a lot of new people, and there's going to be more new people as our little segment grows.
Mm.
And it's kind of confusing. I try to push alignment rods to people because you can have a half 28 threaded 30 caliber rifle.
Yeah.
But in chemo, we make a flash hider that's half 28, but it has a 30 caliber through hole.
mm-hmm.
But in the break of chemo, it has a 22 caliber through hole. So you can fit it all together and shoot it, but then it'll crack and get stopped up in the break and kind of mess things up. So
Yeah,
you see a lot of, and I get it. People don't, it must have been how the early automobile manufacturers felt, or when people started to get actual power installed in their houses. There must have been a lot of people get shocked and start fires. You just
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yes. So, like you said earlier, about, hey, you don't care who wants to start a business and what their business plan is. You're happy with where you guys are going and your track. It seems like the past 5 years, and I think if everything keeps going the way it's going, the next 5 to 10 additional years are going to be like the last 10 years of the AR-15. It's going to be the decade of the suppressor. It
A
seems like,
renaissance.
yeah, it seems like everybody with a CNC machine, or everyone that knows somebody with a that can get into the business. Everyone's starting up something, or even these firearm manufacturers are starting to dip their toe in the water.
Yeah.
How does Dead Air stay ahead of that curve with the the surge of small time suppressor companies just coming out of the woodwork?
That's a good question. And I don't know how you stay ahead of it, or maybe better. Like, I don't know if it's something to really worry about. Like, that if it did, I think I agree with you 100%. It's going to be like the AR-15. We had 10 solid AR-15 manufacturers in 1990. And in 20, when did the ban end? In 94? And
Yeah.
24, 20, 20 or 05, we had 2,000 or more. I don't know. And you just see them come and go just left and right. And now, and I'd have to count, but now we have like 20, you
Yeah.
know,
20,000.
well, just of mainline standard AR. I mean, it's doubled, or maybe there's 30. I haven't really counted, but there's not a ton. There's not 100. So I think and there's all, small shops, obviously. I'm not counting everybody, just some more major market players. But out of that came, and just for example, Daniel Defense, and companies like that were not around pre-ban. And then it has a way of sorting itself out. I think if you work hard and do your best, you'll come out the other side in the huge ramp up, and then what's going to be the new norm. I think I want to be one of those companies that survives that. Who knows though?
It's
going to get.
I'm going to say it's that passion thing you're talking about. Anybody can make the suppressors, but if you don't have a passion for it and want to actually build a quality product, you may be out there cutting somebody else's can in half and seeing the technology and just changing it just enough to not get sued. But if it's just to make money, you might stay in business. But if you actually have a passion for it, you got a better chance for sure.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think that's well said. And the AR-15 companies, that the thousands and thousands of them that came and went, they were just people looking to make a buck, and they didn't have anything to offer. They weren't trying. They were just, like you say, mimicking the last guy and making one in a different color or something like that. Who cares?
Mike, what do you think are some misconceptions about suppressors that maybe the public has, or the gun grabbers? What are some myths or misconceptions about suppressors?
Well, I think that they think it's movie quiet. And as you well know, that is never going to be the case because of this sound that the projectile makes. You cannot shoot it in a vacuum. If we were in outer space, it would sound awesome, right? There's no sound, right? But that's never going to be the case. You're always going to have that supersonic crack. It's what killed the Concorde, why you can't supersonic over land. I think that's probably the biggest misconception. I think if people got around them a little bit, they would see that. And I think the other thing is, I try to tell people this, like, and maybe it's not for everybody. It adds cost, and it adds length, and it adds weight, and it adds a complexity, and it's super freaking hot, and you can burn the living shit out of yourself in a hot one. So I mean, it's not all upside. There's some negatives to it, but I think there's way more upside than downside, obviously. And I think a lot of people do. And if you don't have to have one.
So speaking of having one, perfect time to ask this. With couple months, start of January of this year, the NFA tax is going to go to $0. So if I believe that that's going to open the doors for a lot of people who normally weren't the suppressor customer, whether it be that they had a problem with the tax in itself or just financially, buy the suppressor, and now I gotta pay $200 more, plus couple that with the previous wait times that aren't bad now. For the new guy, for the guy that's just coming in, plus this new generation of shooters, what advice would you give someone looking to purchase their first suppressor?
I try to tell people this first and foremost. I don't think you want to get too wound up. It's not, and I'm not saying that you take it lightly because it is expensive. But I see a lot of people get really locked up in the fact that they want to check all these weights and lengths and diameters and dB and cost, and it's just, if you are going to research, you could research and still not really know what to get. I would suggest the same way that I did with firearms, and I think a lot of people did with firearms. And I'd like to ask, I wish I had some guns behind me. You guys look so cool. I like that. I
Thanks,
have
Mike.
zero firepower here.
I'll
I've got a
send you.
present, but you.
We'll send.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said I'll just send you a couple out.
I might have a couple. I just don't have them out on display, and I'm feeling a little undergunned here.
You're all right.
That Snap-on box.
Yeah, that's the biggest flex. That's the biggest flex.
These damn things.
And both these walls put together.
Yeah, I get all of that for sure. When I started to buy guns, how many guns did I buy? I thought were going to be awesome. And then how did I find my groove? And I'd like to just tell you what that is, just to kind of make my point. I do World War II battle rifles and a little sniper rifling, and I work in a zone up into the 90s. And then I don't do much after that. I do new guns. I'm not super into them. That's not where my drive to acquire firearms lies, though. It lies in this zone, right, that I have. But I didn't start out with that. The way that I got into that zone, when I was very young, very early 20s, and would go into a gun show, and there'd be a lot of World War II vets, and they get so freaking excited about an M1 Garand.
So stoked.
But it is just a wooden piece of trash until I bought one. I ended up getting, my father had 0.6, and he gave me a ton of ammo, and he got rid of it. And then I picked up on another deal, I had like 600 rounds of 0.6. I didn't have a 0.6, and I was like, frick, I'll buy a Garand. I bought a Garand on a whim. And I started to shoot the Garand, and I was like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever. I shot the top. I'm a Garand lover, but I didn't start out that way.
Right.
I bought and sold some guns, and I kind of found my zone. I think you need to do that with the cans. Maybe you think, I talk to people and they're like, oh, rimfire, who cares? I'm like, I don't know. If you got a rimfire can and started shooting it, what a freaking riot that is.
Mhm.
Like, that is so quiet, and it's affordable to shoot and just a ton of fun. Like, don't discount a rimfire can, and maybe these can people are searching, they haven't even looked at a rimfire can. And to my point, like, you got to find yourself in your own terms, and you might buy a few things and then shelf them. I've bought and sold tons of guns in my life that I was like, well, I thought that was going to be awesome, but it kind of sucked.
But it wasn't.
It wasn't awesome at all. I was like, that's not even me. I don't even care about those anymore, that kind of a thing. So I would tell the people to just don't get too wound up. You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Typically when people ask us, we tell them that when someone asks me, because I own quite a few suppressors, and when they ask me, hey, what suppressor should I buy first? I usually tell them you need to buy two. And when they ask me which ones, I say, pick a 22, pick a rimfire can. I don't care what brand. You do your own research. You need it. You need a rimfire can. Secondly, for the most part, you can get away scot-free. It's kind of like the I call the 30 cal can the gateway drug. Buy a 30 cal can. For the most part, you can shoot just about everything you would like to shoot out of it. Once you're done with that, it's like the old the Pringles potato chips or whatever. You just can't eat one.
Once you pop the fun, don't stop.
Yeah, if you've been bitten by the bug, it's over for you at that point. But if you weren't bitten by the bug, at least you have two suppressors that can pretty much do most everything that you want to do. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Dude, wise words. That's kind of my experience with night vision. I have a little night vision. I thought it was going to be awesome. It freaking sucks. Like, I'm not a night vision guy. Like, if I can see where I'm walking, I can't see further out. I'm always messing with it. The weight, it's expensive. You just don't see, like, I long for the day when they make night vision like a pair of glasses I can put it on and it looks like day to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of negatives with night vision and everybody's so hyped on like, oh, all this night vision, but I just try to steer clear from it. Like, I'm glad that I have some and I can use it. And I'm not saying I haven't had some fun with it, but after a while I was just like, I just don't know that I get it. I
Now
don't
I
get
just
all
got $4,000 sitting on a shelf.
well, I mean, if you did a nice PVS 14 and then started to outfit it and you want to do some kind of a rifle scope and then you decide you want some lights and you start
Lasers.
mounting on a helmet and then you're like, I need some IR lasers and it just goes on. And then if like, I just don't think that's my cup of tea. I'm sick of tripping around in the freaking dark. I find myself just saying no thanks to night vision shooting now. Just like I figured out that wasn't quite my cup of tea.
I get that.
I'm kind of the same. I don't own either. Honestly, I don't own not one suppressor, and I don't own any night vision. Um, I am 100% guilty of the guy who's like, oh, you know, like the measurements and the numbers and the things, and trying to
Yeah.
stuff all my guns into one suppressor, and it's just that's not the way that it's supposed to work.
See,
And
that's what
so,
I'm saying. You could do that with night vision. You start reading and researching and
oh yeah,
looking on white phosphorus and do you want dual
Which-
tube and quad tube and on and on and on. But you should
Yeah.
get stuff and then stumble around in the dark a little bit. And if you love it, like you can get into some night vision chat rooms on AOL or whatever. I don't know. Talk to other night vision guys and just freaking bro out with them. Do your
Well,
thing. Be
when somebody asks me my opinion on suppressors or night vision, I go, hold on, let me call Mikey because he's
something-
he definitely knows way more than me. But I'm like, hey, what do I think about this again? Oh yeah, here we go.
well, so
yeah,
the night thing again, it's one of those, it's the Pringles potato chips thing again,
Yeah.
all over again.
yeah.
If you have the old, what is it, the Russian monotube?
Ooh,
Dude,
Uh,
don't say that. I've tried to look through those and
s-
just want to scratch my eyeballs out.
yeah, but it's like if you have a 7 and you've got the 7 and it's you've been bitten by the bug, like you're in it. But there are people that jump in it for PVS 14s are not cheap, but you get in with that and that's all they ever need. And then there are people that buy that, think it's the coolest craze for 3 months, and then they sit on a shelf and they become display. It's a cool thing to look at. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting, but I see your point on that.
Well, for me, and like I say, I don't want to make people that are really into night vision angry with me, but I think of it as more of a
It'll be
fire
okay.
extinguisher at this point. Like I've got my night vision on a shelf, all the stuff's there. I could use it if I needed to, but I'm not going to do it. Like I have fire extinguishers and I'm a big fire extinguisher guy. I like fire extinguishers, but I don't do anything with them. I just like having them. If I need to
Hey
put
man,
out
yeah.
dirt, a certain kind of fire in the dark, I want to do that.
Well, if there's any fires in the dark, Mike is set up. He's got his night vision on the shelf. We know he's got more than one extinguisher. He's set and ready to go.
That's the kind of guy. I mean, that you don't know. If I wouldn't have dabbled with it and gotten into it, I would always wonder, and I'd be wanting. But as it sits now, I'm just not much of a consumer of it.
Makes sense.
So, Mike, I think I already know the answer to this question because we touched on it just a little bit. But if you weren't building suppressors, what would you be doing with your life right now?
I'd probably be still mechanicking. I
Mike's garage.
think that's the thing I'd be doing.
Still
Like-
wrenching on cars?
Yeah, cars.
What I mean, just real quick. I mean, it sounds you helped somebody with an engine swap in a Honda.
No, you're opening a can. I'm ready for it and I'm excited, but you're opening up a can.
Well, like what if you had your choice in unlimited funds, like what type of cars are you working on? What do you like to build?
I don't do that. I don't want to hot rods. Like, and it hasn't always been like this for me, but probably somewhere in my 30s, I was like, hot rodding is not for me. I don't want to do that. I'll tell you what I do, and then maybe this will answer that question. I do charity auto work, much like you would do some kind of community service. I don't charge people, but I like to help people. So if someone has like a car and they don't have any money, I'm there. Like I'm on it. Or maybe they have a ton of money and it's not that, but they have a time constraint. Because you might not be able to get parts for your car just because you have $1 trillion doesn't mean you can magically make a here. And if it's 3 weeks until you can get your car fixed, dude, call me. I'm on it for that. The thing that I don't do is I don't do hot rodding. I don't do like I'd rather spend my time helping someone that needs it. If you want a hot rod, like you can take it to a shop to have a lift kit put on or a blower put on it or whatever, like have at it. Dude, it's like a $20,000-$30,000 problem. Go knock yourself out. I don't want to be bothered by it.
That's really noble, though. That's
just the simplistic, just the simple way of life. Just like, hey, I just want to do the things that get the people from A to B, and I'm here to help.
Yeah, but I don't want to be taken advantage of. But there's very few people that you run into, like pretty much everybody's car is going to get to me at some point that I'm around. Or if someone knows someone, like I'll work on a car for someone. I have no idea who they are. Someone just said, hey, like this person is destitute and needs these parts put on. I'm like, if tonight's soon enough, like, let's do that. Come over to my house after work. Like, let's do it. I think a person needs to have some kind of a balance. I don't think you do it self-destructively. But if you are not giving of your time, and not that everyone's in the case to do this, like if you're working at the Taco Bell and going to a university and scraping by and you have to study, like I don't think you should, that's not a time for you to do charity work.
Yeah.
But my life has been good and I've been very blessed and I really like to give back. So that's kind of how my automotive kind of work goes.
Love that. Love that. Well, Mike, we got about 5 questions left for you. Before we get into that, we're going to take a quick commercial break before we get into the future of dead air. And so top off those drinks and let's hear from our sponsors.
If you are reloading, you need tools that work as hard as you do. And that's exactly what you get with Frankfurt Arsenal. Their top-of-the-line reloading equipment, including case cleaners, powder dispensers, and presses, are designed for precision and efficiency. Whether you're a competitive shooter or a weekend reloader, Frankfurt Arsenal helps you save time and get more consistent, high-performance rounds. Reload smarter. Reload with Frankfurt Arsenal, because your ammo deserves the best.
Welcome back, everybody. And we want to go ahead and get back into what we were saying, and we're going to talk about the future of dead air. So with everything that's been going on and all of the new companies coming in, like we discussed, and all the new technology, Dead Air's built a very strong reputation. How do you plan on keeping that momentum going into the future?
Well, and I don't mean this. If anyone's listening that's going to start a silencer company, I don't mean this to, and I mean, this is obvious, but we're many steps ahead of all these people. So if we just keep up at the same pace and keep working hard and continue to make great stuff, we should be one of the companies that's comes out the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a simple answer and a confident answer, and I think that you guys are positioned right to be there. I think you discredited yourself a little bit earlier in saying like, oh, we're a new company, we've only been doing this. I mean, at this point though, the suppressor industry is pretty young and pretty small still, and I think that you guys have established, up there at the top of the leaders in this industry. So I think
Well, kind of you to say.
it's the truth though. So with that, Mike, are there any exciting new projects or products that people will be seeing in the coming months? Anything that you can hint at? Anything we should be on the lookout from Dead Air?
I can tell you that we are working on some stuff that I'm super excited about. And maybe sometime around SHOT, we'll start seeing a few of those things. We're some months away, but we're getting narrowed down on kind of a cool, more specialty rifle can that I'm really excited about. And then we're going to do a couple little refreshes that I'm really super into. So we got
Hell
to
yeah.
get here. I mean, there's some fun stuff coming down the line.
Okay.
Cool.
Good. So now's a chance for you to give the company some flowers. How has Dead Air's team culture that you helped create, but also everyone that's in the building has helped create, how does that team culture contribute to the company's growth and innovation?
Oh, I think you can't underestimate that. And I say this all the time. We all grow together as business has gotten bigger. When we started out, there was only, 5 of us, and you did 10 different jobs. And now we have 8 different people doing those 10 different jobs. It's kind of the way that it changes. So I've seen a lot of people do a lot of growth that started with us, years ago. And it's few things make me prouder than some of the people we have to see where they started and where they are now and what they've learned. And as a man, like I say, I would always help someone if they leave. And some of the people, if they left, would be just heartbreaking for me. But watching a guy build a foundation for himself to be able to take care of himself the rest of his life and apply that to even a little bit different industry, some of those lessons learned, like, I don't know how you couldn't be just overwhelmed by that. So we have that. And I see people walk by, and I see people when I walk by, and other companies look sad, but I don't think we look sad. And I think when you walk by, you can tell that we're a tight team and we all get along and we're all pumped to be with each other, and we don't have dead weight or a guy that doesn't fit in or anything like that. And the evidence is other people are always trying to snipe our people. And I get that. You would want to take that home.
Yeah.
You could take that seed and then you could grow your own forest like that. but not without a seed.
Hell
But I
yeah.
say to them, like, Frick, keep trying. I think it makes people feel really good to have them approached and have offers made, but we don't lose people to those offers. It's very rare.
Yeah. Well,
So I couldn't be more happy with the people that we have right now and where they're all at. So I'm super
Well,
blessed.
I can attest to that. Honestly, I've seen you guys set up at 3 different shows now, and every time I come past the Dead Air booth, like nobody's sitting there playing on their phone. Everybody's engaged with potential clients and other leaders in the industry. Everybody's shaking hands and smiling. I mean, that's how we met. That's how we all started talking. Old Mike Pappas out there smiling and shaking hands, giving out compliments, being a genuine nice guy.
I
So
believe it started out with, "Hey man, that's a nice purse."
that's a nice bag. Yeah, apparently my Louis Vuitton bag set some sort of precedent for Mike, and it's well, he's about to find out. It's all downhill from here. So
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about nicer things in fashion.
yeah,
Like I can tell, and because I'd have to put my glasses on and look at it real close, but I don't know, Rolex, Timex, whatever. But I know the Louis Vuitton thing because I've been abused by them a few times trying to make Pappas happy.
I've done we've all
they
So
done.
will too. They'll take you. They'll take you to the ringer. That's why
yeah,
they'll take you
that's
to
a
the
step
ringer.
truck for women.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's
100%.
that's why we buy guns.
I'd
I
tell
got a
you
little
that
bit of both.
if you watch and just do this, and this isn't for people listening, maybe a few, but for you guys, when you go out at night from a show, just watch the people that you see that, this guy works at this place and this place and this place, and they split up. We never even think to split up. It doesn't even occur to us to split up. We stay together.
Mm,
If you see one of us, the rest of us are in there somewhere. We all
close
went to the
behind.
same party or restaurant or whatever. I think you can tell by that too, just as a little fun test. And all those people that don't really like each other, man, they can't wait to freaking get away from their stupid coworkers and do what they want without those assholes being around bugging them.
You are
We-
correct. Yeah. Matt, buddy, I think we've made it to that point in the show.
I think it's that time, and I'm actually kind of excited because I know that my buddy Mike is. I mean, at heart, he's kind of an AK guy. Um, I think they have one of the most predominant AK suppressors on the market, the legendary Wolverine, and someone who didn't have a passion for that platform couldn't have made it. So I'm really excited about this question. And Mike, if you've watched, you may be familiar with it, but I like to ask every guest when we get to the end of the show what their top 5 guns would be. It's not the end of the world. It's not World War III or the zombie apocalypse, anything like that. But you have to cover all the types of shooting that you like to do with only 5 guns. So we want to know, Mike Pappas, what are your 5 guns? What are you taking with you? And NFA doesn't matter.
Well, I've got a long-standing, like, I don't know, love affair with a Barrett 82A1.
Well, yeah.
I've I've accurized my rifle and I've worn 2 barrels out on it.
Whoa.
And kind of I've just shot the tar out of that rifle. So that
Cool.
I'd like to take that with me if I was going somewhere. And I don't want to dodge your question, but I would tell you this. My kind of thing always changes a little bit. Like I get really super into something and then I stay into it for a while. I just came off of a nice ride with a AC 556K. I just couldn't leave. I couldn't quit. I couldn't
All
leave it
right.
alone. I'm like, I'm watching TV and I look over and there that freaking thing, like, you followed me to the couch? Okay. And then, like, I'm
Perfect.
going into work, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I won't leave you in the car with the windows up in case somebody comes by and reports me. I'll take you in with me. So I really move around a lot, but I think a mainstay would be 100 series AK and 5.56. I've got a Bulgarian rifle
Yeah.
that I keep it in a case, Chinese chest rig, 3 mags, mag in the gun in the case, sculpt, bayonet, Wolverine, and then I keep a little med kit with it and some cleaning supplies and a sight adjustment tool. And there's very little that I couldn't do without that rifle. It's open
Mm.
sights, it's wide optics, it's common ammo, it folds, it's small, it's reliable. It sounds like $1,000,000 to shoot. It's just super nice to shoot. No recoil, fast follow-up shots. Like, and I pretty much don't move around without a pistol. Like I've got a Shadow Systems in the glove box of that Buick there. I'm not going to go anywhere without some kind of gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got one more.
Uh-oh, one more.
Well, I'll just go from, like, as it sits right now today. I've been really freaking enthralled with the Sten Mark V.
Oof.
And I fought it a little bit. And I ended up switching the extractor to a new aftermarket extractor, and the thing is running like $1,000,000. And earlier last week, I kind of ported it, feed ramped it to take 147 grain, like 150 trunnicated ammo. And I get the gun's
Dang.
not made to shoot ball, but this thing is a freaking sewing machine on trunnicated. And I've got a couple
Mm.
mags I need to open up, and they're sitting on that bench right there. And so I'm kind of, this weekend I'm going to get it ready I'm going to shoot it again after work on Tuesday. So I'm always like, something gets in my mind and I like to stay with it a little bit. And so like I say, not to avoid your thing, but I don't have the real constant. I've always got something coming in and out of that. So at different times, I think I'd grab different things.
That's 100% fair. We are all gun nerds, and we've even had guests that have been on twice and answered the question slightly different each time. And so I totally get it. Sometimes I'm way more obsessed with a gun than I would be, a year later when I've got something else or I'm just a little more interested on something. So right now, Mike's taking the Barrett 82, the AC 556, AK 100 series and 556, that Shadow Systems he's packing, and a Sten Mark III. Those are great choices.
Hell
Mark,
yeah.
yeah, that's okay. It's gonna change.
All
It will.
right. All right. Yeah, we'll have you on for an update. We'll see you next time.
It'll change
Probably
in 10,
not.
but
Probably
that's
not.
okay.
Too.
Yeah. I don't blame you there. Well, let's go ahead and plug Dead Air and let everyone know that they can find you guys at www.deadairsilencers.com. They can also check you out on Instagram at Dead Air Silencers. And Mike, we really want to appreciate you for hanging with us on this Sunday evening. And man, it was finally great to sit down and talk with you and
Definitely.
get to hear some stories and get to hear some of your perspective on the industry.
I was really looking forward to it, and I was honored that you guys would ask me and let me onto your podcast.
Yeah. So,
Well,
Matt, go ahead. I think if there's nothing else, go ahead and close us out.
all right. Well, again, Mike, we want to thank you. We want to thank all of our listeners. Don't forget to go over and check out Dead Air Silencers and their full lineup of products. If you've watched this far, please like, share, comment, leave us a little review on whatever platform that you're listening to. Thanks again to Mike Pappas at Dead Air Silencers. And on behalf of Mike Perkins and myself, we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.